Welcome to Psychic Holistic Spotlight. Today we have Jessenia as our guest. My name is Kathy Medeiros. I'm the co-host today. And I also have Josie Way and Darlene Filosa with me today. We're going to talk to the New England Psychic Medium today. We have the pleasure of Jessenia coming today to talk with us for the time that we have. So Jessenia, how did you get into this, being a medium?
Well, I believe that we always have soul-level gifts, but what happened was I was very unaware of my gifts until I met my husband around 26, I believe. And he really loved to go to haunted houses, so we ended up going to a couple. And at the haunted house, I realized I was hearing things and talking to things and even being touched by things, and I got really upset because it was the first time that when you're in a haunted place, it's very concentrated, so it was the first time that it really bothered me. And I was up all night and couldn't sleep, and then I elbowed him in the middle of the night and he woke up, and I was like, how could you sleep? There's like little kids touching my back, there's ghosts everywhere, there's one at the end of the bed. And he was like, well, to me it's just a crappy room because I don't see ghosts. And I was like, oh. And it just kind of like light bulb. I was like, oh, not everybody can see ghosts. This is weird. And then I started to work on it. Eventually they became so strong that I really couldn't ignore them anymore. So then I had to actively train them and work with them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, you train your gifts, you mean?
Yeah, train my gifts, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
They got to a point where they were just kind of like explosive, they're just too out of control, really strong.
Yeah, you didn't sound like you didn't have your boundaries up at first.
Well, yeah, I think we all don't until we do, right?
Yeah, very true.
Technically, none of us do until we learn, and it's something that most people aren't even conscious about.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of us, we don't realize though, like that in between as we're falling asleep though, that's the most active time though, because that's when we're most aware of it, the in between time. So, so how long have you been doing this now?
Officially, honestly, I haven't been doing this very long at all. I started probably 2017. No, what year are we in?
2019.
2019. So I think I started it at the beginning of 2018. I started doing like private readings just here and there, and I still had my other business, and I was just doing it as needed or whenever it came across me. And I'm 31 now, so not very long at all. I went full-time with my business in August. So,
good for you.
So since August, I've really had, it's the first.
So beginning of 2018, isn't that around the time that we met?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's really what pushed me into it, is I finally had like 6 different people kind of yell at me and be like, well, you have gifts. And then finally I was like, all right, well, I'll do something about it. You were one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it helps with that little gentle push, as I call it, to get to that point.
Exactly. I got kicked right off that cliff.
Yeah. Now, do you teach others as well too, though? Or?
Yep.
Okay.
I have a rare ability to see gifts in others, which I only know is rare because I had a very, very hard time finding somebody who could tell me what my gifts were. Everybody uses like the clairvoyant words or like just psychic or just medium, but they couldn't explain all of my gifts, which were, I think they're pretty unique because now that I read gifts in others, I haven't found the exact same gift system. But again, no two gift systems are the same.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because we all interpret the same thing differently.
So because of that, I'm able to teach people how to unlock their gifts and then work towards development.
Now, do you only do this in person, or do you do this through video chat as well?
I do most of my readings online, and they're actually usually reports because I do what I call Akashic Reports. I'm an Akashic record reader, and Akashic records are like soul stories. Mm-hmm. So it includes past lives, soul origins, any soul damage, and again, gifts. and soul family connections, soul group. It includes so much information that I actually just create a report and email them.
Oh, okay.
Because it's, I could never have a conversation and nobody would retain it. It's too
Yeah,
much.
it's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot of information.
Now, I know there's different ways to read the Akashic Records. Have you, did you learn from somebody else to do it the way that you do it, though, or was it just kind of compiled from experience?
Well, one of the interesting things about me is I'm all directly taught through my guides, and that's part of the plan. I realized later on that it was part of the plan to not be tainted with previous belief systems and modalities so that I could start fresh. So I actually didn't even know I was reading Akashic Records until somebody who really knows a lot about them came to me and said, "You're reading Akashic Records, you realize it's a very rare gift," and I thought, I don't even know what that means. So the guides call themselves Guides of Akasha, so that's just what I would call them. So then to have the physical definition and the information kind of opened a doorway for me, and I started actively looking into it and actively trying to see what it was about. But they have told me that the reason I get the information is because my soul level job, or my in-between lives job, is actually to collect data and information for the Akashic Records. So I'm an Akashic Record guide. So that's why I get the information.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting. Now, did you take a class in the Akashic Records, or was this all the information just from the guides?
I do have a certification, that certificate that I got for a program called, I think it's Soul Realignment.
Okay.
And I did it so that I could get more information, but at that point I had already had like a healing system. So the certification is one of my 6 reports. So I could see so much more than the modality allowed, so I had to kind of create my own.
Okay. Wow, this is very interesting. Now,
with your modality, what does it cover?
Everything. I'll explain it through reports, because there's about I think 6 reports, if I'm remembering or recalling correctly. So Akashic Report 1 is about soul origins. This is a modality that I'm certified with. It's created by Andrea Huss, and what she does is she finds soul origins and your soul evolution. So it includes, how evolved your soul is, and that would depend on your soul structure. So we talk about soul vibration, we talk about soul origins, and we talk about any really intense, deep, energetic soul traumas. So Report 1 is really about finding any really intense energetic leaks or scars that are inhibiting our healing moving forward. And then Report 2 is of my own creation, and that is more like a really intense psychic scan. And I look through the body for any inhibiting past lives, any obstructing behaviors, any blocks to growth.
How does it look? Are there dark spots or hot spots or cold spots? Or
No, I'm a very visual person, so I actually just see the lives. When I'm scanning somebody's body, I usually work with chakras, but not everybody has chakras. So I usually see chakras, and they work as like a energetic filing system. So any obstructions in the root usually have similar themes. And so I would be drawn to the root, and then I would scan the root for any behavior or past life blocks or energetic blocks, and then we would discuss them, and then I remove and heal, and then we move to the next chakra. But I always start at the root, because the root is our ground and connection to earth and the last plug for healing. So if our root is obstructed, we're not releasing negative energy or healing.
So if somebody has consistently comes in contact with the same type of person, let's just say, they're codependent or whatnot, and they're trying to cut the cords and nothing's working, would it serve them to come to someone like you to say, this is what I see in your soul because blah, blah?
Yeah, I can pretty much deal with any kind of issue. And that would be, so then report 2A. Sometimes we get people in report 2 that have a very intense focus on relationship and relationship blocks, and that, that's everything. That's people we attract, and people, relationships, we have relationships patterns, and so that's like a focus on relationships, and that would include that. And many times that's actually a lesson you have not learned. So understanding the purpose of that lesson really helps us push through it and finally clear it, which can be pretty amazing. And sometimes it's really hard to overcome those because we have layers of past life blocks. So it's a really intense, burned in pattern engraved deeply in your soul. So if we remove those past life blocks, it's a lot easier to make a physical, willful decision to change that behavior. And then report 3 is where we do gifts. I go over people's energetic body and we do gifts. And the reason it's 3 is because our guides will not activate and open gifts if somebody requires a lot of healing. Healing is always a priority. And then 3A is connection to spirit guides. So we actually pull forward the spirit guides and we connect to them, we get to know them, we get to know their role in that person's life and what they look like. And then report 4 is just like a check-in, because sometimes when we open our gifts, we have like a huge awakening, and a lot of my clients need time to adjust to that. So then we do like the checkup. At 4, we'll look over their chart again, and we'll see if anything shifted or changed, or how to manage the information they got.
Okay, so they don't get all the 4 reports all at once?
No, I recommend they do them 1 to 2 weeks apart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just so there's a balance.
It's way
there.
too much. It's way too much. I've had people try to book them all the same day, and I'm just like, nope, I spread them out manually.
Just clearing out old garbage takes some people lifetimes.
Right. I call it like an expedited system to evolution, because it can be a real shock to your system. It can be really intense.
And the other thing is you can help them see that some things are gifts.
Right.
That for them, they're opportunities to learn.
My whole system is based off empowering people, not disempowering people. So it's about taking control of your energy and your gifts and learning to use them and develop them.
Yeah. How did you? I'm a big fan of angels, and sometimes they're a fan of mine. But how did you receive training with the angels, or did that open you slowly?
Well, the angels are just one specific soul group. So most people are very strongly connected to their particular soul group. I'm actually an ancient soul, not even old soul, ancient soul. So the information I have is information I have physically gathered myself at soul level. So the angelic soul group is actually called the angelic soul group cluster, because they are a huge soul group, but they are a bunch of smaller soul groups that have merged over time. So I do contact and connect to angels, but I also connect to a lot of other soul groups, because I have to. I'm working with people all over the world, and I'm helping people all over the world, so I've stayed very kind of open-minded and taken. And part of my job is that I can connect to other soul groups, so I have to stay open-minded.
Yeah, well, communication is one of your gifts. But you know that.
Yes, it has to be. It's part of my mission.
Now, you mentioned, though, that not everyone has chakras.
Yes.
Is it like a lot of people that don't have chakras?
No,
it's just a very few.
It is incredibly rare. I've only come across 2 or 3 people that don't have chakras. Now, like I said, all of my information is not based on any particular modality or structure or system except for my report 1. And even in my report 1, I have to go off course and talk about what I actually see, because there's some things in there that I found in the training process that I found don't resonate with my visions or with my information. So I've had to kind of shift it and correct it. But chakras to me are just energetic filing systems in the body. So it's kind of like a soul program that we take on so that we can merge comfortably to Earth. So there are some soul groups that have not developed that program yet, but it's incredibly rare. And in that case, you just see their soul, but it's more just like It's more just like a bubble with, free-flying information.
So is that like more like the younger souls? That
No,
they've been around for many times?
It's just rare soul groups.
Okay.
Usually it's soul groups that are not of this universe. They're actually outside of our universe, and usually they're brand new to Earth.
Okay. So it's usually more likely to be like a starseed, though, that would have come across that?
It really is more just like a brand new soul group. For example, one of the people that I read, she's one of 10 of her soul group incarnated on Earth. And they have but it causes a lot of problems too. Like she has a very hard time grounding, a very hard time focusing, a very hard time creating change and implementing her energetic shifts. And it's just because her energy doesn't really connect to Earth very well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you definitely have symptoms if you would see physical symptoms with it. We feel like out of place. We feel kind of like we're rejecting Earth. We feel a very hard time getting things done sometimes.
Oh, so there's a general feeling of being lost.
Yeah, you do. You feel kind of lost. But you really, to me, it felt like she was just completely ungrounded, and there was nothing we could do to ground her. She just focused a lot on other ways of grounding.
Okay.
So do you find when you're trying to help people that have had some issues because of past lives or issues even that they're having currently right now, as you're going through it and you're trying to help them to identify, do you find that sometimes it's still hard for them to get to the root cause of what's wrong? Or for them to help themselves to kind of get through that? Because you can only do so much. We as healers can only do so much. So how do you overcome some of that?
Well, I'm a definite believer in the power of willpower, and we do talk about that a lot in a lot of my readings. We actually talk about behavioral actions and things that we're doing to obstruct us, or behavior connected to our blocks. So then in that case, you have to break that behavior or pattern, but it gets easier when we remove the obstructions. So in that case, it's all them. But I have had people who I've read that have been very reluctant to heal, some people just literally fight healing. They're so comfortable where they are in their misery that it's really hard for them to shift out of it. And I have still seen them shift. And just simply by having the reports, because I do what I call soul reintegration during the reports. So I actually reconnect the soul to the physical body as I work. So even if you refuse to heal, you have a whole new awareness and you have a lot less weight. Okay. So it's just easier if they decide to. But yes, there's always free will.
Choice.
Yeah.
So have you had anyone tell you that how wrong you are? Or not that you're wrong, but have you ever had anybody fight you in what you've told them?
The but people.
Well, most people, I would say like 99.9% of the people I contact or I work with are very, very set and accurate and feel like it applies to them, and they're just like, this is everything, this is my whole life. And there are a couple people who try to fight it, and then they'll give me their response, and I said, but that sounds exactly like what we talked about. And then they're like, oh, so it's almost like they just didn't realize it. Okay. And then they had to kind of put two and two together. I've honestly never had a reading where I've been wrong. I've never had somebody come to me and say, this is just totally not who I am, I don't know who you're reading. I've just not had that experience. I had somebody that, she was a client of another client, and we were working together, and she felt like her report was, confusing. And then I talked to the other lady and who also works with her, and she was like, no, it's absolutely accurate. She just has, a disassociative, she has a hard time associating with her own problems. So that one was a little bit difficult, but like I said, it was still accurate. It's just some people absorb things differently. Some people are really able to turn the mirror and look deep within, and some people are still using defense mechanisms and projecting. But I've just never had somebody come to me and be like, oh, this isn't me, who are you reading? So I guess not.
Now, you also read animals?
I can read animals, but it's not really my focus. Did you read that off of me? Is that why? I have 3 dogs and 2 birds and a cat. And I've noticed that I can pick up on their emotions and their energy very easily.
Well, they're delightful, and
Yeah.
they have no blocks.
Right. They're pretty bold and blunt. But yeah.
The frequency is a lot higher than ours though, too, though, so it's a little bit easier, I find,
Yeah.
to read them.
So do you do this out of your home? Do you have a place of business?
I can travel sometimes. I'm very flexible, but I do most of it at home. Most of my clients are actually all over the world. So it's, if I'm reading somebody in India, it's from home.
Okay.
And I have like Australia, and I even read somebody over by Greece. And so, it's just easier to work from home.
So how would somebody contact you if they need, because it sounds great, and have some clients I think that would be beneficial to connect.
Well, I'm all over social media. So my website is newenglandpsychicmedium.com, and my Facebook is New England Psychic Medium. Instagram is New England Psychic Medium, so it's easy.
Okay.
And all my links are right on my website.
Yeah, awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah. So it's pretty easy. I also have a YouTube channel. I do a lot of videos and stuff. I actually talk about the Angelic Soul group on there. You might like that one.
Have you had the chance to work with children?
I do work with children, actually. A lot of my clients have actually asked me to work with their children because we have a lot of, so at the end of March, it was one of the biggest awakenings the world has ever seen. So now we have a lot of people who are just kind of stepping into their reality and questioning everything, and they feel very lost, they feel very misguided. And so I've been getting a lot of requests to help guide people because it's a very emotional time. It's like waking up to an alternate reality, and everything you've been taught is wrong or different, I would say.
So that's the shift I was picking up on though at the end of March. It was
Oh,
driving me a little
huge.
bit crazy.
It was
Very limited is what it is. The old perspective and the new
But
perspective.
it's such a shift in consciousness that it's just like some people just don't even know what to do with it, and it could feel very heavy and lonely. You feel like you're the only one, or you're not understood, or you're displaced. So I've had a lot of people contact me to work with their children because children, when children are gifted, if you don't train them early enough, they end up having a very hard time growing up.
The proper guidance
Yeah.
for that,
Yeah, especially in school and everything else.
Yeah, well, especially if they're gifted with psychic gifts.
Yeah.
Not just in music and art, but and
Well, you know which one is the real one is the empath.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of people who have empath abilities, and empath abilities are really just like, there's like a scale when I see it, and it goes 1 to 10, 10 being full extrasensory abilities, and just beginning 1 empath. So I've seen a lot of people with that gift structure, and a lot of people don't understand that when you're an empath, one of your abilities is actually to absorb energy from your environment. And if you are not properly flushing that, it gets very heavy very quickly. So you have a lot of people that are feeling dark, negative, and are lacking energetic boundaries, and they just kind of absorb everything all the time. And that can be so emotionally draining and physically draining.
well, they don't know where it's coming from. They
Right,
think
they have
it's
no
from
idea.
themselves.
They think it's normal. So they don't know how to check it and balance it and flush energy out. Yeah. So that's the big one I'm really seeing problems with.
To pry a little, how do you suggest they're flushing it out?
Well,
Does it depend on the
I actually
person?
have a video that I put on YouTube, and it's called Everything You Need to Know About Empaths. Because when I look at an empath's energetic body or their chakras, I see that each chakra has a different fragment of the empath gift system. So we look at their chakras and we see how they're supposed to use their gifts. Usually we have 1 chakra that allows us to see the energetic body, 1 chakra that allows us to feel and absorb emotion and energy, and then we have 1 that replaces the energy we absorb. And then we have one that cleans and clears, or one that transmutes the negative energy to positive energy. And we have one that grounds and helps clear us fully. So it's like a process. Our gifts it's like a filing system where our gifts are working in chunks and pieces. So if you have one that you're not even aware of, you could have a huge backup and block, and you could have somebody who's overwhelmed with negative energy and all these people's emotions and all of this heightened perception, really depending on how strong their gifts are.
Do you work with crystals at all?
I do love crystals. I love a lot of stuff, but I do love crystals. But I really find that I'm just very plain. Like, I don't have a really intense system. I don't have like a lot of, ritual behavior or anything like that, like the whole 9 yards. I just I've gotten to a point where I'm doing readings and I'm just like, open up. But when I'm working with clients, if there's a crystal that resonates with them or something they should be drawn to, then I do recommend it. My guides will recommend it for them.
Yeah, I was thinking when you were talking about it before, the new folks to this planet may resonate a lot with crystals or plant life that may help ground them. Or water even.
Yeah.
The elementals.
Yeah. Well, there's actually, it depends on your soul group and your soul structure, but I've seen gifts with the elementals and gifts with earth, and then gifts connected to crystals. So it's part of some people's energetic structure, and it just really clicks with them because of that.
Oh, that's the excuse I can use when I go out shopping for more stones.
It's a part of me. You know what though? Your connection to the angels is because you're an incarnated angel.
I know
it's
that.
It's one of the largest soul groups. So it's interesting. A lot of people don't realize that angels incarnate. So angels are very into crystals, high vibrational energy, and musical tones like tuning and music. They just really resonate with that, and they don't like trauma. When I deal with the Angelic Soul Group, they're just like, let's just remove that and take it out. They don't like to talk about it. They don't like to go through it or work through it. They're just like, no, please remove and heal. All gone.
Peace.
Yes, they're very
At all
peaceful.
cost.
Very peaceful, yep. They're a beautiful energy, but they're very in tune with music and tones. They love tone healing. And crystals are very high vibration, so it resonates with their energy.
So the tone healing, though, that's including like the different hertz, though, right? Though for the musical
Well,
scale?
anything really, like bowls, tuning forks, bells, music. You can use, sound in any form.
Yeah.
But they really resonate with that. It works very well for their energy. A lot of Angelic Soul Group will actually use that for their clients. They're drawn to it.
Okay, so as we're wrapping up, how do we get hold of you?
NewEnglandPsychicMedium.com. It's my website.
So it's also the same thing as your Facebook, your
It has
Twitter,
all my
your
links on it.
YouTube?
Yeah,
Okay.
nice and easy. It's got
Okay.
everything on there.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an
And
easy
you
way
do
to-
work by phone
I do have occasional appointments that I do by phone, but like I
and
said, so
online.
much information. Yeah. Yep, and in person sometimes too. I have a lot of different ways of booking.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Now, what do you call what you do? I didn't actually hear.
Soul reintegration.
Okay. Because in all the information there, I lost it.
Yeah. It's
There's a lot there.
reconnecting the soul to the physical body.
All right, so there's 4 reports total, though, and then, it's like you don't do all 4 reports at once, though, right? It's a
No,
couple
I
in
mean, I
between.
usually book 4 to 6 weeks out, so it'd be pretty hard to book them all at the same time anyway. But I do recommend that people book them at least 1 to 2 weeks apart because it's it's so much information, and people say they feel the work. So if they get dizzy, lightheaded, like sometimes they just feel, it's like shocking. So it
Yeah.
can be really difficult.
So there is some awareness to the changes.
Yeah, I'll have people write back and tell me, I definitely felt you in my energy. I'm like, "Oops, sorry.
Didn't mean to be so intense about that, but it just kind of happened.
Like, well, you got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. I'll try to tiptoe next time.
I'm sure that leads to some interesting conversations as well, though, too.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not a delicate process, I would say. It is about changing your life. It is about opening up to your soul fully.
Very, very cool stuff, though.
It's exciting.
I love it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Now the next step for you is to